Congress is gearing up for next week's impeachment trial against former President Trump. Mr. Trump is accused of inciting the attack on the Capitol last month. It's unclear if any GOP members will vote to convict him in the Senate. Still, the future of the Republican Party could hang in the balance. The trial is serving as a gauge for how far the GOP will go to support the former president. With me now for more is Bill Kristol. Bill is the chairman of the Republican Accountability Project. Bill, great to have you here on air. I want to start with what should be a basic question, but perhaps isn't. What does the Republican Party stand for now?
I mean, right now, I think, unfortunately, Marjorie Taylor Greene's probably right. It stands for supporting Donald Trump. It stands for a lower stimulus package. I guess we just saw that, the clips you showed of that. I'm not sure what the theory of that is, and I'm not sure where the economics would fall on that. But apart from that, what does it stand for, really? It's a very fair question. And I do think, unfortunately, Representative Taylor Greene was probably right that the main organizing principle was defending Trump for 4 years. And even though he's out of office, think about that. It's kind of weird, right? He's out of office, but they're still defending Trump.
Does your party need to purge itself from conspiracy theories like QAnon and widespread voter fraud, which we know simply isn't true? And how do you do that?
I mean, I don't know if it can, honestly. It's so deeply embedded, the conspiracy theorizing, the unwillingness to tell the truth, the unwillingness of elected officials to tell the truth to the voters. I mean, there are lots of things we could talk about. Why do people come to believe this? Why are conspiracy theories so prevalent? Social media, all these things, they're all legitimate questions, our culture. But at the end of the day, if elected officials of the same party are unwilling to tell the truth to their constituents, to their voters, even if it's sometimes a difficult truth, a painful truth, a truth they don't want to hear, very hard to make progress. That's what serious political leaders do. They don't do it every day. Sometimes they just give in if your voters believe something sort of innocuous, a little foolish, maybe you go along with them. But something so fundamental as this, something that led to an assault on the United States Capitol, something that led to a president inciting that assault and then defending it, basically doing nothing about it, and then praising the people who did it afterwards that same day. If you're unwilling to tell the truth about that, I think you're a political party that is in a lot of trouble or deserves to be in a lot of trouble.
So I'm not hearing a lot of optimism from you, and you have been a critic of President Trump since when he first announced that he was running for office. You are also somebody who served the Republican Party faithfully for years, serving in President Reagan and President Bush's administration. Does the Republican Party need, in your opinion, to reconcile what you're calling a fundamental disconnect from the neoconservative mentality that you represent and some others represent, and the Trump party that as you say, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene is espousing? Can you continue to be one party?
I don't know. I mean, I don't feel I didn't support Donald Trump, and I'm not going to support members of Congress who continue to support Trump or Trumpism. And the beginning of the break would be telling the truth about the election, telling the truth about Donald Trump's incitement to violence and his justification of violence on behalf of a deep lie, a big lie about the election. That's why I think this trial is so important. That's why I hope more than a handful of Republican senators vote to convict. That would be a moment where maybe there would be a beginning of a break. But so far, we haven't seen it. I mean, we've had a very good case study, unfortunately, from November 3rd on. Some people, I was somewhat pessimistic about the party. I was shocked that it went along with everything for 4 years. But people told me, oh, well, he was president. They didn't want to support Biden. The alternative was worse. They'd get good policies, good judges right at the end, Amy Coney Barrett. But now, once he's a lame duck, and once he's out of office, I mean, they're going to come back to their senses. They're going to move on from that. Some of them want to. Very few of them are willing to confront what happened, though, which I think is the precondition for moving on. And an amazing number don't want to move on at all, the Marjorie Taylor Greene caucus. So, look, they didn't do so badly under Trump from their point of view. They picked up House seats. They had 50 senators. They have a majority of the nation's governors. They think they can kind of work it out, Kevin McCarthy style. You know, you give a little bit to the Trumpists, you give a little bit to the establishment, you fudge over all the problems. That's not something I'm interested in, but I don't think I represent anything close to the majority or even a big minority, frankly, at this point, of the Republican Party. Maybe the Republicans in the Senate will step up next week. That would be a big thing if more than 5 or 6 of them did.
Well, Bill, we did see some Republicans vote their conscience in the House. Congresswoman Liz Cheney also managed to hold on to her leadership position in the Republican Party after voting in favor of impeachment. How do you explain the disconnect between her overwhelming support of confidence from the greater party and the lack of support that she received from House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy?
I mean, I think he supported her at the very end, but he's busy straddling. He doesn't want to offend anyone. Most of the party are not rabid Trumpists. They're not where Marjorie Taylor Greene is. They just don't want to offend Marjorie Taylor Greene too much, but they like and respect Liz Cheney. So they now have ended up kind of where they want to end up, probably, which is no Republican disciplinary action against Representative Greene and Representative Cheney still in leadership, and an attempt to just bridge and paper over all the problems. And look, sometimes in politics, bridging and papering over works. And sometimes it's not a bad idea, incidentally. It's the perfectly legitimate thing to do. President Biden's trying to do it with, the more progressive parts and the more moderate parts of his party. But on a matter of principle, on a matter of a president who has purposefully lied about a fundamental matter of our election system and our democracy, and then incited the violence he did and justified it, I don't think you can paper that over.
Well, it's very interesting to see your group running these ads to support Republican members who do, in fact, vote in favor of impeachment and conviction. We only have time for one more question, so I want to ask you about some big news that my colleague Norah O'Donnell had. President Biden says he does not think that President Trump should receive intelligence briefings due to erratic behavior. What do you make of that decision?
I mean, I think I received intelligence briefings myself when I was in government. Obviously, not after I left. I wasn't the next president. I think it's very prudent. He's shown no discipline in not repeating things that are sensitive. It's no discipline in separating out what's classified and highly sensitive from what's public. And so he doesn't need the briefings, and there's no reason to give them to him.
All right. Bill Kristol, thank you.
Thanks. My pleasure.